Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Gary, and if this is the first time you chance upon my channel, probably the algorithm caught you because you're looking at some property information or you're searching for some property stuff. Welcome. I talk about properties in Singapore, and recently I have been talking about quite a few launches that are up and coming. If you are following through places like Sky, Penrith, and today we're going to talk about Zyon Grand and so on and so forth. I have also mentioned about the Sand as well. And to my viewers, thank you for joining me again. Please continue to help me to like and subscribe. And very happy to spoke to two of y'all just this month or so. We discussed about the potentials of the project that they are going for, alternative plan for them, as well as two resale projects that they can look at with similar attributes as well as a potential. So if you are interested in such a consultation, feel free to reach out to me. My number is 93881661, or you can click at the link below. There's a WhatsApp link. You can reach out to me. More than happy to help you. Okay, so today's topic we're going to talk about is Zyon Grand. Okay, so for Zyon Grand, it is one of the, I would say it is not the last. It is the first to be bought but last to be launched this year. Another one coming up, likely the name is called River Modern. That's the last plot of land being bought around Great World area. And for Great World area, I have touched on since around April this year because of the first two projects that's going to be launched, River Green as well as Promenade Peak. I have talked about how there will be upside of CCR properties. That is one of my videos. I also mentioned about the migration of people coming from the OCR region following the Thomson East line all the way down to the Great Wall area. And I think that's the purpose of our transport planning also. They want mobility and also giving people an option to stay closer to work, stay closer to their play area, as well as some lifestyle area also. Okay, so finally, we have our third parcel launching this period in October, which is Zyon Grand. They have the lowest land bid cost, but not necessarily they're going to launch at the lowest price, but they have a big buffer. So later we can see how is it going to be like. And also I'm going to talk about one more thing, is three things that I like and I don't like about Zyon Grand. Okay, so moving on to the first part I'm going to talk about is the project details. Okay, so for the project details, the name is already out. It's called Zyon Grand with a Y. Okay, developer is a joint venture between CDL, reputable one in Singapore, as well as Mitsui Fudosan Group, which is a Japanese developer. Okay, so in the description, it is 2 blocks of 62 stories residential development with 1 block of 36-story long stay service apartment with restaurant, supermarket, and early childhood development center, and it is connected, later you can see, to Havelock MRT station. And henceforth, if you follow me right at the start, the title of it, Zyon Grand, a subtle integrated development, because that's probably the only integrated development over there. Great Wall MRT is already connected to Great Wall City Shopping Center. There's no way there's another condo that can be built on Great Wall MRT. So the next one is Havelock. Just nice, there's a piece of land right above Havelock MRT, which is an old HDB block 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I'm in my 18 years, that kind of age group. But anyway, okay, so that is where it is actually a integrated development that I think some people might have missed it out because it's not so much mentioned as compared to, say, for example, you have Woodleigh, Parktown. They highly do a shout out on integrated development. Okay, so anyway, coming back, okay, it is in District 3, even though it's very near to District 9, which is Orchard area. Address-wise is along Kim Seng Road. Okay, tenure is 99 years from 15 July 2024, which is where the date that they are awarded the land. Okay, but most important thing I highlighted this part is the expected vacant possession. Written here is 30th September 2030, that means 2032. Having said this, which is 7 years later, so considering that if TOP comes in 1 or 2 years earlier, so likely your place is going to TOP in 2023. So just take note that this would be literally a 5 years building period. So you might take a while more to collect keys to your house, maybe because of the intricacy that is required for the construction of this integrated development, having to take note where the MRT is, having to do up the mall, and then further on doing up the 62 stories iconic tower with a very unique facade. So I think all this probably take a longer time. Okay, the land area wise is 15,277.9 square meters, which interestingly is the largest plot of land over in Great Wall compared to the other 4 plots, which are around 11,000 square meters or lesser. Okay, and the number of units also is 706. Okay, and car park lots you can expect is 595 car park lots, okay, of which 565 is residential, 30 lots for commercial, and there are 177 bicycle lots. Okay, moving on, we can see the unit type and the breakdown. Okay, so they don't have a one bedroom, they start with a 1+ study instead, which is quite a common starting type. Gone are the days that they will do a one bedroom anymore. Okay, so for a 1+ study, it is 474 square feet, there is 59 units. For a 2 bedroom with 1 bath, it is 538 square feet, there is 59 units. For a 2 bedroom premium, there is 646 square feet, there are 59 units. 2 bedroom premium plus study at 721 square feet, there is 118 units. For the 3 bedroom, there is 3 types. The basic 3 bedroom, 818 square feet, 59 units. 3 bedroom deluxe, 861 square feet with 118 units. 3 bedroom premium plus study on the range of 1055 square feet to 1076 square feet with 116 units. For the 4 bedroom, they have 3 different types. Okay, they have the 4 bedroom premium, of course, with private lift at 1421 square feet, 40 units. 4 bedroom supreme, okay, with private lift, 1518 square feet, 40 units. Then there is a 4 bedroom supreme plus study with private lift, 1615 square feet at 18 units. Okay, and then there, of course, is the 5 bedroom. Okay, there's a 5 bedroom supreme, very limited, 18 units only at 1819 square feet, as well as 2 penthouses, 5 bedroom with private lift. Okay, if you look at the percentage wise, they have interestingly categorized the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom at 83% and the 70% for the 5 bedrooms and the 4 bedrooms. However, when I look at it in terms of the I would say the own stay people, I'll categorize 3 bedrooms into the 4 and 5 as well. So you can see that there's about 58% of them for own stay, and then a lower percentage of around 42% for the 1 to 2 bedrooms. And of course, not considering that some of the 1 or 2 bedrooms are also for own stay. So pretty much this project seems to be quite targeted on the own stay kind of crowd, and henceforth you can see that some of the layouts are quite livable in certain sense. Okay. Next, I feel that what is important over here when you're buying into Zyon Grand, right, is actually the view to expect. Because it is a 62-story iconic tower, you will want to have a very unblocked kind of view if possible. And if I'm not wrong, you follow me through. Okay, if you are at the south facing, at the 38th floor and even higher, if you can see from mine, from my slides, right, you can actually almost see the southern waterfront of certain sense. So in a way, if you are at 40, 44, up to 61, right, you can see the whole of southern waterfront, especially the PSA area. Okay, if not, if you are facing the north area, okay, you will have the view all the way up to Orchard Road towards Bukit Timah area. Okay, and then if you are slight tilted on the right of the north side, right, you will see of course the Singapore River area as well as the Robertson Quay area as well. Okay, so I also gave an example because right, if you see, I showed you earlier whereby you can see a bit of Promenade Peak and how it feels like, right? For me, how I draw an example of how that feeling is like is because I stay at the sale and it's at level 54. So I took a photo before while I was doing this, and I guess this is the kind of vision you might get when you have a building right next to you but not too near. You know, there's still some setback between the facilities. So right next to the sale is Marina Bay Suites, and it's also a single story all the way up, probably up to 69-70 stories. So if you can see from my screen, this is how it will look like roughly, I think, to imagine how Promenade Peak will look like in front of the block number 3, block 3, if you are at stack 03, 04, 05 and 06 as well. Okay, so this is the kind of view that we can expect roughly for Zyon Grand. Next, I'm going to move on to is the 3 things I don't like and 3 things I like about Zyon Grand. Okay, so basically what I don't like about Zyon Grand, which is a very common issue in Great World area and River Valley area, is the oversupply issue. Too many condominiums. Resale buyers in the future will be a bit spoiled for choices. You have many competing units because you can see, as I tabulated, the condos around this area within 500 meters of Great Wall MRT station, around 500 meters of Zyon Grand. You have, of course, Zyon Grand, you have Irwell Hill, you have Cosmopolitan, you have the Trillium, Rivergate, Martin Morden, River Green, Promenade Peak, Riviera, Tribeca, and Sentinel Suites, which means to say your total number of units in that area itself. For one bedroom, there are 502 units out of all these condos. For the 2 bedrooms, there is 1,811 units. For 3 bedroom, there is 1,499 units. For 4 bedroom, there is 659, still not too bad. Okay, and 5 bedroom, the least, of course, the minimum is only 64 units. Of course, having said this, 64 units, 5 bedrooms seems like a very good to buy in, but the quantum wise is really quite staggering. It goes around high 5 million, 6 million, up to $7 million. So that's why, probably that is where the limitation of number of units are. But most importantly, when I do a 3% of them turning around in the resale market, you can see that there is actually quite a number of units will be up for sale. For example, 1 bedroom we can expect about 25 units, but actually if you check on Property Gurus, there is actually more than 25 units for sale. 2 bedrooms, 91 units, but actually there is already more than 91 units for sale. So on and so forth. So I think this is one challenge which, if you are a buyer of Zyon Grand, you're going to face later part. But when you buy in, developer will also have face this kind of problem, because right now they have competition from River Green, the leftover units. They have, and also taken up some amount of buyers for this year. You have Promenade Peak, leftover units, plus also absorb some of the buyers for this year. So Zyon Grand being the last to launch, developers also want a certain high percentage of the buyers this year. So likely they might launch at a very attractive pricing. So I say that this oversupply issue seems to be a double-edged sword. However, if you are a buyer that is going to be for the long stay, for the long haul, you are not there for a short flip 4-5 years, then I think you should be in a safe zone if you can stay, and it's going to be a very nice place to stay for sure. Given that you ask anyone that has hang out around Great Wall, go to Great Wall Shopping Mall, and even like to go to places like Tiong Bahru or even Zion Market, or even lifestyle wise towards Singapore River, towards Robertson Quay, I think it's a very comfortable place to stay. Probably almost irreplaceable if you plant yourself down over in this area. Henceforth, hopefully you as a buyer, your consideration, if you are in for a long stay, I think this oversupply issue might not be that much of an issue for you. Whereas compared to people that has only a short holding period or want to try their luck to turn around at TOP period, I think they might face a certain amount of challenge in the resale market in terms of visibility of the listing. Okay, having said that, come to think about it, there might not be any more land available in this area. So come to think about, this could be also be the last few plots available, like the next one, River Modern, that is going to come out next year. So essentially, this oversupply issue might be a problem if you do a short flip, but if not, if you can do a long haul, I think it should be okay for you as a buyer. Okay, next is what I don't like about it is this unknown, very new concept rather, called the Serviced Apartment 2 concept, which is something that I think URA wants to try it out, and henceforth they added this feature and a requirement for this developer at Zyon Grand. And when I was studying the layout plan or the traffic plan, right, I don't really see any much of a segregation between SA2 as well as the main body, and we do not exactly know whether do they cross pollinate in terms of the usage of the facilities between the residents as well as the guests at the service apartment. So this is seemingly unknown, so not so sure. Because why do I say so? Some of the residents might be concerned about their privacy, because when you have SA2 guests, they come and go not so frequently because there's a minimum number of stay, but it will be you can see change hands very often, and sometimes these guests also bring along their friends into the service apartment just to check it out, right? So in a way, maybe some privacy is being compromised having this SA2 component. Okay, and then the next thing, of course, you do not know whether the facilities will be shared or not. Still pending, trying to figure out. Let me try to figure out. If I get the answer, I'll let you guys know. Okay, and then next is 36 stories of SA2. Can't say too high, but not too low, so middle ground. So we do not know how many rooms exactly are there and how likely the occupancy rate also. So I think most important concern, I guess, is of course when you want to buy into a condo, you want to have that kind of privacy, luxury, as well as low density. No, not so much footfall around. Even though this is an integrated development, it should be kept to the commercial area as well as connection to the MRT instead of having the SA2 component. Then again, anybody's guess, because I was trying to do a search. Not many of these concepts, except for One Holland Village, they have Quincy House, which is also a service apartment that is even shorter. There's a 7 days minimum stay, and I don't see any negative review about this so far. So maybe it doesn't really have too high occupancy rate, and that is also the risk that the developer has to bear lah, in such a sense. Okay, so seemingly don't really have this, but then of course it might affect the privacy of the residents. So I can foresee that this might be a little issue. I don't really like it for this Zyon Grand. Okay, and the next thing of course is having been in the concrete jungle kind of urban area for the location of Zyon Grand. It's not exactly nearest to Singapore River. Okay, it's actually bounded by two main roads, Kim Seng Road as well as Havelock Road. As of any other condos in Singapore, you will get some road noise, and I think heavy traffic during the peak hours. You can check it out during the peak hours. Let's say for example 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. As well as the morning, say for example 7 to 9 p.m. because that serves people going towards CTE for Kim Seng, and then Havelock Road would serve people going towards CBD from Redhill area downwards from Alexandra. Okay, so that is one. I think road noise, especially if you are going for the lower floor units, which are more attractively priced because it's being gradually staged up from starting from roughly around 2,800 PSF. But that of course comes with a trade-off, like, you know, you're nearer to the road, so you might actually experience some of the noise pollution in such a sense. Then again, they also say noise travel upwards. So maybe you're still safe at the lower tier to the low mid, but not mid and high level onwards. Okay, so that is one. Next thing is, I think at some levels you might get a bit of obstructed views. Because if you see on my right side, right, where Centennial Suites Mirage is, you might get this kind of a bit of the building right in front of your apartment kind of view. Okay, as well as if you are at Block 3, right, okay, you will have a bit of the promenade peak, which I have shown you earlier, but it feels a bit closer because of the setback. That is only from Promenade Peak's facilities and not so much from Zyon Grand, where most of the facilities are right in front of the condo around Havelock Road area. Okay, and then to a certain extent, if you're at Block 3 also, maybe you're at Stack 2, you might be able to see the HDB on the right side. Not saying that anything bad about it, it's just more of an obstructed view because it is a standalone HDB in that area. Okay, so I guess something that it will be a common objection for future resale buyers when they come in is a bit of the obstructed view, especially if you're at a lower floor level. And a lower floor level, also you get a bit of the noise pollution coming from the main carriageway of Kim Seng Road as well as the Havelock Road itself. Okay, so these are three things that I might not like about Zyon Grand. Let's move on to more positive stuff. What I like about Zyon Grand. Okay, so Zyon Grand, very interesting. My team has done a study. I think the price gap that you can get at Zyon Grand, given its skyscraper effect that I have discussed based on Ori, based on start of the year, and also in the recent one I mentioned in Penrith, as well as River Green, right, is this height equals profit kind of analogy, and that gives you a very big price gap, especially with the resale unit, basing off another theory of harmonization of the unit sizes, which actually brings about a reduction of the quantum, usually typically around 6 to 7%, especially if you compare to the resale that has been bought in the last 4 years. Okay, so for example, if we look at each bedroom type, we have a certain analysis. So I'm very thankful that my team, my company at Promnex, actually did an analysis like this. If you compare the one bedroom at Zyon Grand, starting from 2,800 PSF versus Riviera, one bedroom, on paper the size Riviera seems bigger at 560 square feet, 52 square meters. Zyon Grand is 44 square meters at 474 square feet. But this 474 square feet is the net space, okay? Whereas for Rivier, if you deduct away the balcony space, deduct away the aircon ledge, the net usable space is only 42 square meters. Still smaller. And even though it is smaller, okay, it has been transacted in 2023, a level 35 unit at $1.8 million. Whereas if you have a very good Q number, you are gunning for a one bedroom and you don't want to buy into a resale unit at 2,800 PSF or slightly lower, okay, the starting from price, right, you can enter easily at $1.3 million. And this is a 500k difference from what has been transacted in the resale market. And I think this presents a very safe entry, or rather a very safe gap between what has been transacted before or accepted in the area. Which means to say, next time when you want to turn it around, right, I think high chance, can I say, investors or buyers will be able to spot your unit first if they sort by price. Okay, so basically you are saving 500k or you are creating a price gap of 500k and you have more usable space given Zyon Grand's net usable space. Okay, so this is for the one bedroom analysis. If you look at the two bedroom analysis, right, okay, the price gap is also very interesting because for Rivier, the two rooms are slightly on the bigger side. So when we compare to Zyon Grand, 2 bed, 1 bath, 538 square feet versus Rivier, 1 bedroom, 560 square feet. If you look at the net internal usable space, Zyon Grand still has a higher 50 square meters versus Rivier at 42 square meters. And the interesting thing is that even though, okay, the PSF you can go slightly higher, which means you can probably hit middle of the tower. For Zyon Grand, you could be around 1.721 for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. At Rivier, it is only a 1 bedroom at 1.822 million. So which means to say, you are buying a 2 bedroom cheaper than the 1 bedroom price at Rivier, which is quite an interesting way of how harmonization has brought about a change in the landscape. And probably this is what is driving the whole market of buyers back into the market in the last few launches, especially when my video will be out. You can see the result: Sky at Holland, plus harmonization, plus low land bid price, attractive entry quantum, and henceforth 99% sold for a condominium on first day of launch. So I think this is what has transpired for the whole of 2025. That we can see how this brings about a lot more affordability, a lot more buyers, especially into the central area. And I guess this is what the government's direction also want, to bring them back into the central area, utilize the MRT, diversify the crowd, bring them back to the central area. Okay, so next is, if you look at a 2 bedroom analysis, okay, say the same 2 bed 2 bath at Zyon Grand, 646 square feet versus Irwell Hill, 667 square feet. Okay, if you look on the right side, the total usable space for Zyon Grand is 60 square meters, whereas for Irwell Hill is just 1 square meter short at 59 square meters because there is an existence of the aircon ledge. Okay, what has transacted just very recent, at level 33 for Irwell Hill, 667 square feet is $2.23 million. If you can get a very good Q number again, or I think you will already get a very good Q number because Zyon Grand is the launch after Penrith, is the launch after Faber. It already cleared some buyers away. So if you really want to stand a chance to own something that is in core central area at around $1.8 million for a 2 bedroom, which is very similar to resale prices at around 1.7 million in the RCR non-harmonized sizes, then I think you will have a very good advantage because you're actually having a price gap of 421,000. Okay, and you get more usable space as mentioned by my team which had done the research. So I think this would be a very interesting or very attractive proposition. Okay, for someone that is looking for a 2 bedroom to stay, young couple, starting family, they got priced out from BTO. They don't want to go for the Prime Plus scheme because they are uncertain who can they sell to in the future, and yet they are relatively strong income range of combined probably between the range of 15 to 20,000. I think this is a good alternative for them to consider. Plus, it is an integrated development straight down to Havelock MRT. If I'm not wrong, it's 5 stops to Shenton. very easy to get to work, very easy to also go to Orchard area. So you are kind of like a sweet spot, you know, then I think it would attract quite a big crowd of people to come and have a look. Okay, so that's a 2-bedroom analysis. 3-bedroom analysis, even more interesting. Okay, you can, just from my screen, you can see that there's a very big sign saying that you can save up to 620,000. A bit of a gimmick, but in truth, later I'm gonna describe to you how I look at it. Okay, but if you ask me about a 3-bedroom layout to go for, if you have the budget of 2.5 to 2.6 million dollars, I think the 861 square feet is a nice sweet spot for most of the upgrader family. You know, you upgrade from the OCR, RCR area into this space, right? $2.4 million gets you a very nice 861 square feet. Just digress a bit. And when you come in, the hallway is not too long. You have enclosable kitchen with a window. Okay, so obviously it'll be a gas stove. Okay, you have quite a reasonably sized dining and living area. It is not an awkward shape, which is what has happened in the past when they try to do fanciful layouts. Okay, your first bathroom it's naturally ventilated. Okay, both the room size are 9 square meters each, and this is what I call the butterfly layout for a 3-bedroom, because both the common rooms are just opposite of each other, and this makes your hallway very, very tiny and very short. And this is actually my layout for my first house at Brownstone as well, so I can understand how efficient this layout is going to be. If you are working from home, you are away from your partner, you know, one of you are taking a call in one room, the other room is not side by side, so you can't really hear each other. And if you have kids, also same thing. If they have to do a home-based learning, or they have to do something at home, right, they're actually the walls are not joining, so there's actually quite a bit of privacy in my aspects. Okay, and then finally the master room is 13 square meters, which is reasonably sized, not too small as well. So I think if you are looking for a 3-bedroom, the 861 square feet would put you in a very nice sweet spot position for upgraders. Okay, versus Martin Modern 1012 square feet. If you look at the comparison, right, technically speaking, Martin Modern is bigger because it's 1012. Even though you streamline it down to the net usable space, right, it is 89.1 square meter more. 89.1 square meter versus 80 square meter for Zyon Grand, which is 9 square meter more. And when I went to look at it, if I account for this 9 square meters more, which is 98 square feet more into Zyon Grand, right, with 2,800 PSF, it should be 274,400. If I add to just now the pricing of 2.4, right, it is still cheaper at $2.685 million, still cheaper than Martin Modern in the resale segment. So this is what I'm trying to say in previously, if you have caught on with me, right, this harmonization and this attractive land bid that is given by the government actually creates a very interesting price mechanism that makes getting something new more attractive than in the resale market. And henceforth, when you fast forward 5 years later or even 6 years later, Martin Modern, which TOP in 2022, will be 15 years old, and you are just a 7 years old condo. So I think there's a lot of attractiveness in coming in to get a unit right now during this period of launch. And probably that is why, like, I have to reiterate why the launches are moving quite quickly, and probably that explains why they are all above 90% sold. Okay, so don't want to be a program recorder, but if you get what I meant. Okay, so coming back to a 4-bedroom unit type, right? Interestingly, if you compare 1518 square feet 4-bedroom, they can do a 4-bedroom at 1518 square feet, but Riviera, sadly, 1,711 square feet, right, there's only a 3-bedroom. So it really puts you in a very different position already. Coming in at 1,500, I'm a 4-bedroom, 1,007, I'm a 3-bedroom. Obviously, resale buyers will go and see the 4-bedroom first, because they want to fulfill their needs. And next thing, you come in at 3,000 PSF, you are only $4.5 million for a Zyon Grand 4-bedroom. Whereas if you go into the resale market, the person in 2023 at Riviera at level 30 already bought at $5.5 million. If he's going to sell you, even at best at the same price that he buy in, without adding any of his costs, right, it is still almost $1 million more expensive than your 4-bedroom at Zyon Grand. So that is I guess, no-brainer in terms of comparison. So if you are looking at, in fact, I think if you are looking for a 4-bedroom at this price, you should be better off than someone looking out for in the RCR area, because a 4-bedroom at the RCR area could probably also cost you at this price, but of course a bigger size lah. Okay, so this is one key factor. This is one key price gap that I mentioned, and this is something that I like about Zyon Grand. And finally, in terms of the 5-bedroom analysis, which is the final type, okay, Zyon Grand has 3 different types. Okay, for the 5-bedroom, 1819 square feet. Okay, it is definitely more regular than the one that is already in the resale market, for example like Trillion, because back then they do not have something called harmonization. They will just build however they want, wherever they want. And of course back then developers are also going for a bit more profiteering. I mean, it's a business, right? So you can see the difference in the layout, the size. The older ones, they have bay windows, they have extra balconies, extra large balconies, and awkward shape, round shape rooms that you don't see now in the recent launches, especially in Zyon Grand. The whole 5-bedroom layout is so beautiful, very squarish. You have 2 segregation area, you know, you have your junior master and the 5th bedroom on one side. You also have the other 4 bedrooms on the other side, and then you have a very generous dry kitchen area, a dining area, as well as a wet kitchen area and a utility for your helper. Okay, so I think the 5-bedroom layout is very well thought of. And in terms of price gap, right, I mean, not too much of a difference. And I feel that people that buy 5-bedroom maybe don't really care so much of the price gap, unless you tell them that the pricing difference is 1.5 to 2.5 million dollars difference. But at 200,000 difference from Promenade Peak, I think this group of buyers are really going for garnering the feel, garnering the iconic luxury that the development can give them, and not so much so of the price gap. So I don't really talk so much of a price gap for the 5-bedroom, but more of the livable layout and also the iconic view, because this 5-bedroom is at level 44 onwards. So usually these kind of buyers likely they might buy top down as well, so that they can get the view at level 60, which is very comparable to the view for Promenade Peak as well. Okay, so this is my take on the first part of what I like about Zyon Grand, the price gap. Number 2, the second thing that I like out of the 3 about Zyon Grand, I keep saying Promenade Peak, about Zyon Grand, is the integrated development. Let's face it, it's going to be very rare. Okay, the nearest integrated development, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, is at Ion Orchard. The next MRT stop, I don't think Upper House is integrated. It has a commercial at level 1, but I don't think it's connected to the MRT. So the next best option is actually Zyon Grand. Okay, if you notice, I have seen the site plan already. So at the commercial residential area, where the basement, car park and restaurant, it also has the connection to Havelock MRT station. And having lived right now in an integrated development, I know how comfortable and how convenient it is, especially if on days that you don't drive. You know, you just want to take a train to the next stop to just try something different. Okay, so the convenience level is there. And in fact, you have a supermarket downstairs. If not, you can just cross the road over to Great Wall City. You amenities aplenty. So this is one of the nicest things actually at Zyon Grand that you can experience if you are a buyer buying in for own stay. And I can quite guarantee that you will enjoy staying here, especially the community here would be also people of, I mean, it's auto qualified based on their income to be able to purchase. So it's also your network around this area will be very interesting, I would say. Okay, shouldn't say so much, later say I become very elitist. Okay, but anyway, coming back, finally, what I like, final part about Zyon Grand, and this is what I like about the most, and I mentioned in a lot of the projects, is height equals profit. Or rather, not exactly profit, but a safe entry price. Because if you can buy in, for example, I have mentioned in my previous video, my client has bought in at 0705 for ORI. We entered at $1.563 million. Whereas the transacted unit on the same day itself at the 40th story is $1.814 million. That's about close to 300,000 difference. And this actually puts you very safe in the resale market, because when my client want to turn it around in a very simple sense, at 1.75, $1.8 million, that is the buying in price for the person that bought at level 40. So I think this is what I also like to reiterate over here at Zyon Grand. You can come in at 2,800 PSF. For example, the one bedroom around 1.29 or 1.27 to 1.29 million dollars. You can expect the difference when it goes up to level 30, and then of course going up higher to levels 50 and 60 thereabouts. So this is one thing that I really like about Zyon Grand, especially if you bought in at a lower tiering price. You might sell for the same profit or slightly higher. Okay, it just makes your exit a lot easier. That's one thing that I really like about Zyon Grand. And that is all for today's content. I hope that you enjoyed the content today where I mentioned about 3 things I like, 3 things I don't like about Zyon Grand. And if you want me to go through the discussion with you, feel free to reach out to me. We can have a one-to-one consultation. If not, I will see you in my next video. And take care. Good night. Bye-bye.